Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. The Salvage ship moved slowly through the outer junk zone, where broken hulls and dead engines floated like bones in space. Its metal skin was scratched, burned, and uneven. Old paint peeled from its sides, and strange repair plates covered parts that should not exist on a normal ship. Compared to the clean and shining vessels around it, the ship looked ugly and tired. Alien traders passing nearby laughed openly when they saw it. Some sent mocking signals. Others shared images of the ship across open channels, calling it trash, scrap, and flying junk. Inside the ship, the human pilot sat alone on the command chair. He did not react to the insults. His face was calm, his eyes focused on the forward display. He had heard worse before. To the galaxy. He was just another human salvager, picking through the ruins left behind by wars he did not start. His ship had no famous name, no bright flags, no signs of power. That was how he wanted it. A group of alien merchants drifted closer, scanning the ship. Their scanners showed weak engines, old weapons, and systems far below fleet standards. Laughter spread through their channels. One of them spoke loudly on an open frequency, making sure others could hear. He said the ship was a danger to itself and should be towed away before it fell apart. Another joked that even pirates would not waste fuel stealing it. The human did not answer. His ship continued forward, silent and steady. Nearby, a small patrol from the Galactic Fleet observed the scene. Their ships were sharp, clean, and powerful, with weapons ready and shields bright. The patrol leader glanced at the human salvage ship and shook his head. He ordered his crew not to waste time on it. According to fleet records, humans were weak, slow to advance, and depended on numbers, not quality. A single broken human ship was not worth attention. The patrol turned away, already bored. The junk zone stretched wide, filled with the remains of old battles. This was where the human worked. He guided the ship toward a cluster of wreckage, moving carefully between broken cruisers and shattered drones. His hands moved smoothly across the controls, like he knew the ship's limits better than anyone else. As the ship slowed, the main screen suddenly flickered. A soft warning tone echoed through the bridge. The human looked up. A signal appeared on the sensors. It was faint at first, buried under background noise. The ship's systems adjusted on their own, filtering and sharpening the data. The signal grew clearer. It was not a distress call, not a trade ping, and not fleet code. The energy pattern was strange, layered, and deep, like something folded inside itself. The human leaned forward slightly, his calm expression tightening just a little. Outside, the alien merchants continued their work, still joking about the salvage ship. One of them moved too close to an unstable wreck, triggering an old defense system. A burst of fire shot out, damaging the merchant ship's engine. Panic filled the channel. The Galactic Fleet patrol turned back, annoyed but ready to assist. Everything seemed normal, loud, and chaotic. No one noticed the human ship changing course. The salvage ship rotated slowly, its damaged hull catching dim starlight. Power levels inside began to rise, but no external sign showed it. No bright glow. No weapon ports opening. The ship looked the same as before. Broken. Weak. Laughable. The human spoke quietly, more to the ship than to himself. He confirmed the signal source. It was close. Too close. Suddenly, one of the fleet patrol ships vanished. There was no explosion. No flash. One moment it was there, shields active and weapons ready. The next moment, empty space remained. Sensors across the area screamed errors. The remaining patrol ships stopped in place, confused and alarmed. The alien merchants went silent. Fear replaced laughter in seconds. The human ship did not move. It did not chase. It did not flee. The signal on its screen faded, as if satisfied. The human exhaled slowly. He adjusted the ship's position by a small amount, placing it between the wreckage and open space. Inside the bridge, systems returned to low power, hiding their true state once more. The fleet patrol leader demanded reports. His crew could not explain what happened. Their sensors showed nothing. No weapon discharge. No enemy signature. It was as if the missing ship had never existed. The patrol leader's eyes drifted to the human salvage ship. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. Still, logic told him it was impossible. That ship was junk. Everyone knew that. Across open channels, whispers began to spread. Traders replayed sensor logs again and again. Some noticed a brief distortion, centered near the human ship. Others denied it, refusing to believe a worthless salvage vessel could erase a fleet patrol ship. The human pilot ignored the noise. He guided his ship deeper into the junk zone, where scanners were weaker and eyes were fewer. As the salvage ship disappeared among the wrecks, one thought echoed across the frightened minds of those who remained. The ship, they laughed, it had not defended itself. It had not shown power. Yet something near it had erased a warship, without sound or warning. And whatever that power was, the galaxy had just noticed it far too late. The salvage ship drifted deeper into the junk zone, slipping between broken hulls and frozen debris. From the outside, it still looked weak and damaged, just another forgotten wreck moving slowly through space. Inside, the human pilot remained quiet, his hand steady on the controls. He did not look back at the place where the patrol ship vanished. He already knew what had happened. What surprised him was not the event itself, but that it had happened so close to witnesses. Behind him, far from the junk zone, the Galactic Fleet patrol struggled to understand their loss. Alarms filled their bridge as systems tried again and again to locate the missing ship. There was no debris field, no energy trail, no sign of battle. One officer suggested a sensor failure, but the idea quickly died. Too many systems had failed at the same moment. Another officer whispered that something had erased the ship completely. The patrol leader ordered silence, but fear had already taken hold. Fleet Command received the report minutes later. High-ranking officers gathered around a large tactical display. The recording showed empty space, where a patrol ship once existed. Analysts replayed the data frame by frame, slowing it down, enhancing it, filtering it. At the edge of one scan, a strange distortion appeared for less than a second. It was faint, unstable, and centered near a single object, a damaged human salvage ship. The room fell quiet. Humans were not known for advanced technology. That was the belief written into countless fleet reports. The ships were durable, yes, and their crews stubborn, but nothing more. The idea that a human salvage ship could be linked to the loss of a fleet vessel felt absurd. Still, the data refused to disappear. The fleet commander ordered a deeper scan of the region and quiet surveillance of the human ship. No contact, no provocation, just watch. Meanwhile, rumors spread faster than official reports. Traders who had laughed earlier now spoke, in hushed tones. Some claimed the human ship was cursed. Others said it carried an ancient weapon stolen from a dead civilization. A few insisted it was all coincidence, and that the patrol ship suffered a rare system collapse. Yet none of them returned to the junk zone. Fear kept them away. The human guided his ship into a narrow field of twisted metal and broken engines. He reduced power further, letting the ship blend into the background noise. Inside the bridge, hidden systems adjusted silently, folding energy inward, masking signatures that no standard scanner could read. The ship was doing what it was designed to do. Remain unseen. Remain underestimated. The human's thoughts drifted to the past, but only briefly. He remembered early days, when others laughed the same way, when deals were denied, when warnings were ignored. Back then, this ship truly had been weak, broken, a risk to fly. But piece by piece, salvage by salvage, it had changed. Not upgraded in the way fleets understood, but reshaped into something else. Something the galaxy had no name for. A long-range fleet probe entered the junk zone hours later. It moved carefully, scanning every object. Its sensors passed over the human ship and reported exactly what they expected. Old hull, low power, failing systems. The probe transmitted the data back to Fleet Command. Some officers relaxed. Others did not. The distortion from earlier still bothered them. The commander ordered continued observation. As the probe drifted closer, the human noticed it immediately. His ship noticed it even faster. Internal systems prepared responses, calculating outcomes without orders. The human did not act. He let the probe pass, allowed it to believe the lie. The probe moved on, disappointed, and eventually left the zone. Fleet Command received nothing unusual. Officially, the human ship returned to being worthless. Unofficially, doubt remained. Far beyond known space, something else shifted. The same strange signal that appeared earlier pulsed, once more, faint but deliberate. It was not random. It was searching. The human ship detected it again, clearer this time. The human frowned slightly. He had hoped to avoid this stage for longer. The galaxy was not ready, and neither was he. Back at Fleet Headquarters, a junior analyst made a quiet observation. She noted that the distortion always appeared near the human ship, even when sensors claimed it was inactive. Her report was marked low priority. Still, it reached the right desk. The fleet commander read it twice. Slowly, a new idea formed. Perhaps the ship was not powerful in the traditional sense. Perhaps it was something else entirely. The commander authorized a controlled test. A drone would be sent near the junk zone, pretending to malfunction. If the human ship reacted, even slightly, they would know. Orders were given. Plans were made. The fleet would not laugh again until they were certain. Inside the salvage ship, warning lights blinked softly. The human stood and looked out at the endless field of wreckage. He knew eyes were on him now. The time of quiet work was ending. The galaxy had noticed his ship, even if it did not yet understand it. He placed a hand on the console, feeling the low hum beneath his palm. The ship responded like a living thing, calm and ready. As the stars slowly shifted outside, one truth became clear. The salvage ship did not fit any record, any doctrine, or any belief the galaxy held. It should not exist. Yet it did. And soon, the galaxy would be forced to accept that the ship they ignored was never meant to be understood, only endured. The trade route near the outer systems was supposed to be safe. It ran between busy hubs, protected by patrol schedules and long-range sensors. Cargo ships moved in steady lines, their crews relaxed, trusting the flags and signals of the Galactic Fleet. For days, nothing unusual had appeared on scanners. That calm ended without warning. A pirate armada dropped out of jump space in perfect formation. Their ships were heavy, modified for combat, and covered in stolen weapons. They did not broadcast demands or threats. They opened fire immediately, targeting engines and command decks. Trade vessels scattered in panic. Distress calls flooded the channels, overlapping and breaking with fear. The nearest fleet patrol was too far away. By the time help arrived, the route would be lost. Among the chaos, a single weak signal appeared at the edge of the battlefield. It belonged to a salvage ship drifting out of the junk zone. Its hull looked damaged, its engine slow, its power low. Pirate scanners picked it up and dismissed it at once. No one bothered to target it. To them, it was already dead. Inside the salvage ship, the human pilot watched the battle in silence. His screen showed burning freighters and broken escorts. He listened to the screams on open channels, then muted them. His ship had detected the pirate fleet long before they attacked. It had already calculated outcomes, risks, and responses. The human had delayed, hoping the fleet would arrive in time. They did not. The Galactic Fleet Command Center received the distress calls and reacted too slowly. Orders were given, but distance and timing worked against them. On a side display, an analyst noticed the salvage ship entering the area. Some officers laughed, shaking their heads. A broken human vessel drifting into a pirate attack was not help. It was another loss waiting to happen. The salvage ship moved closer, still showing no signs of aggression. Pirate ships ignored it, focusing on larger targets. One pirate cruiser passed directly in front of the salvage ship, so close that its weapons officers glanced at it with confusion. The human did nothing. His hands rested lightly on the controls. His eyes followed the pirate formations, calm and focused. Then the ship changed. Not on the outside. There was no glow, no sudden movement. Inside, systems shifted from dormant to active. Energy flowed through channels no fleet engineer would recognize. Space around the ship bent slightly, so slightly that only the most sensitive sensors noticed. Even then, the data was dismissed as error. The first pirate ship stopped firing. Its weapons powered down without command. Its engines followed seconds later. The ship drifted, silent and helpless. The pirates aboard shouted in confusion, slamming controls that no longer responded. Nearby ships continued attacking, unaware of what had happened. A second pirate cruiser lost power. Then a third. No explosions. No beams. No visible attack. One by one, pirate ships fell quiet, their systems stripped away, as if removed by an invisible hand. Panic spread through the armada. Pirate captains screamed orders, demanding targets and firing blindly into empty space. Nothing worked. Only then did the pirates notice the salvage ship. Their scanners locked onto it, searching for weapons. They found none. Frustrated, they fired anyway. Energy blasts crossed space and vanished before reaching the ship, swallowed by distortions too subtle to see. The salvage ship remained untouched, drifting forward like it did not care. Trade crews watched in shock as the pirate armada collapsed without a fight. Ships that moments ago ruled the battlefield now floated powerless. Some crews attempted to flee using emergency drives. Those failed as well. The pirate formation broke apart, turning from hunters into trapped prey. Galactic Fleet sensors finally arrived on the scene. Their screens filled with impossible data. Dozens of pirate ships disabled at once. No weapon signatures. No active combat. At the center of it all, the same salvage ship they had laughed at before. Silence filled the fleet bridges. No one spoke. No one understood. The human pilot guided his ship through the drifting pirate vessels. He did not attack them further. He did not finish them. He simply passed through, careful not to collide. To him, the test was complete. The ship had performed within expected limits. The galaxy had seen just enough. As fleet reinforcements dropped out of jump space, they found a battlefield already decided. Trade ships limped away, broadcasting thanks mixed with fear. Fleet commanders demanded explanations from their crews. None could give one. All eyes turned to the human salvage ship as it moved toward the edge of the system. A fleet captain opened a direct channel, demanding the human identify himself and explain his actions. The message went unanswered. The salvage ship did not slow. It did not accelerate. It simply left. Back at Fleet Command, the recordings were reviewed again and again. The conclusion was unavoidable. The pirate armada had been defeated by a single ship without firing a shot. The analysts highlighted the center point of every failure, the same damaged human salvage vessel. As the ship vanished into deep space, a new realization spread through the fleet. The ship everyone laughed at was not broken. It was not weak. It was not even a weapon in the normal sense. It was something beyond their understanding. And this time, the galaxy had seen its power in full view. The battle footage spread across the galaxy faster than any official report. Traders shared recordings in private channels. Fleet officers replayed sensor data in sealed rooms. Pirate survivors told broken stories, filled with panic and confusion. Every version pointed to the same center point. A damaged human salvage ship that did not fire, did not chase, and did not speak. It simply arrived, and the battle ended. Galactic news networks tried to explain what happened using safe words and weak theories. Some claimed the pirates suffered a rare system failure caused by unstable weapons. Others suggested a hidden fleet weapon, carefully disguised. None of the explanations convinced those who had been there. Too many ships failed at the same moment. Too clean. Too silent. Fear did not need proof. It only needed doubt. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, tension grew. Representatives from dozens of species argued openly. Some demanded immediate investigation into all human technology. Others called for sanctions, claiming humans had violated galactic safety laws. A few voices urged calm, warning that provoking humans without understanding the threat would be dangerous. The word salvage ship echoed through the chamber like an insult that no longer felt safe. Military commanders met in private. Strategic maps filled the air with glowing projections. The human ship appeared again and again at the center of simulations. Every attempt to counter it failed. Long-range weapons could not lock on. Close-range assaults ended in total system loss. Electronic warfare had no effect. The ship did not fight like anything the galaxy knew. One commander finally said what others feared. If that ship turned hostile, no fleet could stop it. Meanwhile, the human pilot continued his journey through forgotten space. He avoided major routes, slipping through debris fields and old battle zones. His ship adjusted itself constantly, staying beneath detection thresholds. To him, the growing fear was noise. He did not seek attention or power. His concern was the signal. It was growing stronger, more frequent, and closer. Across the galaxy, old enemies grew quiet. Border wars paused. Fleets pulled back to defensive positions. Pirate clans abandoned entire regions. No one wanted to be the next test. Even the most aggressive empires hesitated, unsure if their next move would trigger something they could not survive. One empire, however, chose a different path. The Karth Dominion had ruled through force for centuries. They believed fear was weakness and hesitation was death. Their leaders reviewed the footage and dismissed it as deception. To them, humans were clever but fragile. A single ship, no matter how strange, could not stand against true power. The decision was made quickly. The salvage ship would be destroyed. The Dominion assembled a strike fleet in secret. Heavy cruisers, suppression ships, and advanced sensor platforms prepared for deployment. Their plan was simple. Lure the salvage ship into open space, lock it down with layered weapons, and erase it completely. No tests. No warnings. Total force. The bait was subtle. A false distress call was broadcast near an old trade route, using frequencies known to attract human salvagers. The signal described a damaged convoy and valuable wreckage. The Dominion waited. Hours passed. Then sensors detected a familiar weak signature approaching. The salvage ship. Inside the human vessel, alerts flashed softly. The human studied the distress signal and the surrounding space. He saw the trap immediately. The energy patterns were too clean. The silence behind the call was wrong. Still, he did not turn away. The Dominion had chosen action. Avoiding them would only delay what was coming. As the salvage ship entered the open region, Dominion warships uncloaked. Space filled with armored hulls and glowing weapons. They surrounded the human ship in a perfect sphere. Power levels spiked. Targeting systems locked. Dominion commanders smiled. To them, the battle was already over. The human ship remained still. No shields flared. No weapons charged. The Dominion opened fire. Hundreds of beams and missiles crossed space, converging on the salvage ship. Observers watched closely, waiting for impact. Nothing happened. The attacks vanished before reaching the hull, absorbed by invisible distortions. Dominion sensors overloaded, struggling to understand what they saw. The salvage ship drifted forward, unchanged. No damage. No response. Just silence. Confusion spread through the strike fleet. Commanders ordered increased fire, switching to different weapons, different frequencies. The result was the same. Their attack ceased to exist. Fear replaced confidence. For the first time in generations, Dominion officers hesitated. The human pilot stood from his seat. He did not celebrate. He did not smile. He activated a single system, limited and precise. Dominion ships began to lose control. Engines powered down. Weapons went dark. Communication channels filled with frantic voices. The human stopped. He did not finish them. He let their fleet drift, alive but helpless. Then he turned his ship away and left. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the event. Another fleet neutralized. Another empire humbled. The message was clear now. The ship everyone laughed at was not a myth, not an accident, and not a fluke. It was real, and the galaxy was running out of places to hide. The Karth Dominion strike fleet drifted powerless in open space long after the salvage ship disappeared. Their commanders sent emergency signals, filled with confusion and fear. When rescue ships finally arrived, the story spread fast. A full battle group had been stopped without losses, without damage, and without understanding how. For many empires, this was proof enough. For the Galactic Fleet, it was a warning they could no longer ignore. Fleet command moved quickly. Surveillance around human space increased. Long-range sensors were recalibrated to detect the faint distortions linked to the salvage ship. Analysts worked without rest, searching for patterns in every encounter. They found one truth repeated again and again. The ship never attacked first. It never destroyed unless forced. Yet when it acted, nothing could resist it. Within the Galactic Council, fear shifted into strategy. Some representatives demanded the ship be controlled. Others insisted it must be destroyed before it chose a side. A smaller group argued that the ship was defending balance, not power. The debates grew heated. Trust between species thinned. The laughter of earlier days felt like a distant mistake. The decision came quietly. A joint task force would be formed under the excuse of cooperation. Its true purpose was hidden. The task force would stage an ambush, using advanced technology, layered weapons, and multiple fleets. If the salvage ship was truly unstoppable, they needed to know. And if it could be destroyed, they would end the threat now. The ambush zone was chosen carefully. A wide region of deep space, with no debris and clear sensor coverage. Hidden platforms were placed weeks in advance. Fleets waited in silent readiness, engines cold, weapons charged. The trap was perfect by galactic standards. No ship could enter without being seen. The bait was a convoy marked as humanitarian aid, broadcasting distress after a staged accident. Its signal was honest enough to feel real. The galaxy watched and waited. Hours passed. Then a faint signature appeared at the edge of the zone. Weak engines. Old hull. The salvage ship had arrived. Inside the human vessel, the pilot felt the shift in space immediately. The ship's systems warned him in quiet pulses. Too many watchers. Too much focus. This was not chance. This was a test or a trap. He considered turning away. He did not. Running would only confirm their fear. Staying would define what came next. As the salvage ship crossed the boundary, the ambush triggered. Fleets uncloaked in layers, surrounding it from all directions. Energy fields locked space itself, limiting movement. Weapons aligned in perfect formation. Fleet commanders held their breath. This was the moment. They did not fire at once. Instead, a formal message was sent. It demanded the human identify himself, surrender his ship, and submit to inspection. The tone was calm but firm. Power backed every word. The galaxy listened. The human did not answer. His ship drifted forward, slow and steady. No shields. No weapons. No fear. The order to fire was given. The ambush exploded into action. Beams, pulses, and kinetic strikes filled space. The force was enough to shatter moons. Sensors recorded impact points around the salvage ship. Then, as before, the attacks vanished. Not deflected. Not absorbed. Removed. Fleet systems began to fail in waves. Not all at once. Controlled. Precise. One fleet lost targeting. Another lost engines. A third lost internal power, but kept life support. Panic spread as crews realized the pattern. This was not chaos. This was restraint. The salvage ship remained untouched at the center. Space around it warped slightly, bending sensor data and breaking lock after lock. The ship moved forward, passing through the fleets as if they were not there. Some commanders ordered retreat. Others froze, unable to act. The human pilot activated a deeper system. This time, the effect was stronger. Entire formations went dark. Fleets drifted, silent and helpless, their weapons useless. The ambush had failed completely. Then something unexpected happened. A hidden platform, built to study energy anomalies, triggered its final protocol. It released a massive surge, unstable and uncontrolled. The energy wave expanded toward the salvage ship, tearing at space itself. Observers shouted warnings too late. For the first time, the salvage ship reacted instantly. Power spiked beyond previous levels. Space folded inward. The wave collapsed into nothing, crushed before it could spread. The sudden force shook the ship. Alarms sounded inside the bridge. The human grabbed a console, steadying himself. The ship had protected not just itself, but the fleets around it. Silence followed. The ambush zone was filled with drifting ships and broken confidence. The salvage ship slowed. The human took a breath. He could feel it now. The signal he feared was very close. Every test, every attack, was pulling it nearer. He opened a short broadcast, the first he had ever sent. His voice was calm, tired, and clear. He told them this would be the last warning. He was not their enemy. But forcing his hand would bring something far worse. Then the signal cut. The salvage ship turned and left, disappearing into deep space. Behind it, the galaxy was left with one truth. Their ambush had failed, and the ship they tried to control had just saved them all without asking for thanks. The ambush zone remained silent long after the salvage ship vanished. Dozens of warships drifted powerless, their crews shaken and confused. Engineers worked desperately to restore systems, but nothing responded. It was not damage. It was absence. Power pathways existed, but something essential had been removed and then gently returned, leaving everything intact yet humbled. For the first time, the galaxy faced a defeat without wreckage to blame. Galactic Fleet Command gathered emergency councils across multiple systems. Commanders who had once laughed now spoke carefully, choosing every word. The recordings from the ambush were reviewed in painful detail. Analysts slowed the footage until each second felt like an hour. They searched for patterns, for a weakness, for proof that the salvage ship could be countered. They found none. One truth became clear. The fleets had failed not because they lacked firepower, but because they fought the wrong kind of battle. Every tactic assumed the enemy needed to be hit, blocked, or overwhelmed. The salvage ship did none of those things. It did not absorb attacks like a shield. It removed them from existence. Scientists struggled to explain the effect. Some described it as space folding. Others believed it was a form of controlled absence, a way to tell reality to forget certain events. Theories filled entire archives, yet none could be tested. The technology did not behave like a weapon. It behaved like a rule. Within the Galactic Council, fear turned into restraint. Hardliners who once demanded destruction now sat silent. They had seen the results. The ship had not killed anyone. It had not conquered territory. It had not made demands. And yet, it had stopped every force sent against it. Destroying it was no longer just impossible. It was irresponsible. The human pilot felt the aftereffects as well. Inside his ship, systems ran deep diagnostics. Power flows stabilized, but stress markers remained. The hidden platform's energy surge had pushed the ship closer to its limits than planned. It was a reminder. Even this ship was not infinite. It was a balance, carefully maintained. The signal he feared pulsed again, stronger now. It came from beyond mapped space, layered with patterns older than known civilizations. The ship understood it better than he did. Internal projections formed quietly, showing timelines and outcomes. Each one grew darker the longer the galaxy tested him. Elsewhere, pirate networks went silent. Raids stopped. Smuggling routes closed. The underworld had learned faster than any council. Power without warning was something to avoid. Entire regions of space became quiet, not from peace, but from fear. A group of fleet officers broke protocol and spoke privately. They admitted what official reports would not. The salvage ship had acted with control and mercy. Any other power at that level would have erased fleets without hesitation. The question was no longer how to stop it. The question was why it had not stopped them completely. The answer came slowly. The human ship was not reacting to the galaxy. It was reacting to the signal. Every ambush, every test, every act of aggression created disturbances that drew something closer. The ship's purpose was not domination. It was containment. At Fleet Command, a senior strategist proposed a radical idea. Instead of attacking or testing the ship, they should communicate, not with demands or threats, but with honesty. If the ship was guarding against something worse, then provoking it was the most dangerous choice possible. The idea met resistance, but fewer voices argued than before. The human pilot stood alone on the bridge, watching stars drift by. He thought of the early days, when the ship was truly weak and survival depended on hiding. He thought of the laughter, the insults, the dismissal. Those memories no longer hurt. They explained everything. The galaxy only respected what it feared, and fear had finally arrived. The ship altered course slightly, moving toward a quiet region of space. It needed time. The signal was nearing a threshold. If crossed, events would unfold faster than anyone could control. The human hoped the galaxy would learn before then. Behind him, far away, the fleets began to recover. Systems came back online. Crews returned to their stations. But something fundamental had changed. Confidence was gone. In its place was awareness. They had failed because they assumed power meant force. The salvage ship had shown them a different truth. As the ship slipped into the darkness between stars, one lesson echoed across every command deck and council chamber. They failed because they tried to fight a guardian as if it were a conqueror. And if they made the same mistake again, there might not be a second chance. Weeks passed since the failed ambush, and the galaxy was unsettled. Fleets moved cautiously, trade routes rerouted, and even pirates hesitated before raiding. Word of the salvage ship had spread beyond military channels. Merchants, explorers, and even diplomats whispered about the human vessel that could neutralize entire fleets without firing a shot. No one dared approach it, yet all watched its movements through distant sensors. At Galactic Fleet headquarters, a special session was convened. Commanders and council members from dozens of systems gathered. Anxiety was visible in their faces, a rare sight in a galaxy accustomed to power and control. The room buzzed with tension as analysts displayed every recording of the ship's actions. Screens showed pirate fleets drifting powerless, Dominion warships frozen, and the countless failed attempts to destroy or trap the salvage vessel. Commanders who once dismissed humans now leaned forward in disbelief. A senior admiral broke the silence. "We cannot control it. We cannot destroy it. Every attack has failed. It is no longer a question of strength. This ship operates on rules we do not understand." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Other officials nodded, some with fear, some with reluctant respect. No one argued. The conclusion was clear. The galaxy needed the human salvage ship, not as a weapon, but as a shield. Messages were sent, formal and cautious. Communication channels opened directly to the human pilot. The language was respectful but urgent. Fleet commanders did not demand compliance. They pleaded for guidance, offering assistance against future threats. Every word was chosen to convey necessity rather than command. The galaxy had learned to fear the consequences of misjudgment. The human did not reply immediately. He had seen this moment coming. He had always known that the galaxy would eventually turn to his ship, seeking protection or intervention. Yet he remained cautious. Power without control was dangerous, even in the hands of those who called for aid. He studied the messages, noting the sincerity and the desperation. It was enough to begin a dialogue, but terms would be his to set. A fleet representative finally appeared on the ship's communication interface. He spoke slowly, carefully, knowing that tone and word choice mattered more than the content of his speech. "We know you are not our enemy, but a threat approaches, an ancient force beyond our fleets. We beg for your aid. Will you assist us?" Silence followed. The human considered the words, weighing outcomes, risks, and the signal that had been pulsing for weeks. He understood that accepting aid meant engagement. Declining could lead to catastrophe. Finally, he responded, calm, deliberate, and precise. He stated that the ship would assist, but on one condition: the Galactic Fleet would not control it. He would make every decision regarding movement, engagement, and defense. The fleets could provide support, resources, and intelligence, but authority remained solely with the human pilot. The galaxy, though uneasy, agreed. The risk of refusal was far greater than surrendering control. Orders spread immediately. Fleets repositioned to provide coverage without interference. Supply ships delivered fuel, ammunition, and maintenance modules to distant stations near the salvage ship's course. Pilots prepared for escort duty but were instructed to keep distance, observe, and report. Commanders practiced restraint, knowing that any misstep could provoke the ship or reveal vulnerabilities. The human studied the situation carefully. He plotted courses that minimized exposure while maximizing preparedness. The ship's sensors analyzed every possible trajectory of the approaching threat. He calculated probabilities for fleet survival, pirate interference, and signal interference from the unknown entity. Every calculation favored caution, speed, and precision. Across the galaxy, hope shifted. Fear of the unknown threat was tempered by the presence of the salvage ship. Entire systems began cooperating in ways they never had before. Trade resumed cautiously. Border patrols shared intelligence openly, and the remnants of pirate networks avoided confrontation. The galaxy had been forced into unity, not by diplomacy, but by the undeniable existence of a force they could not oppose. For the human, the burden was heavy but expected. The ship had been built for this, not to conquer, not to rule, but to protect. Each action taken by the vessel reinforced its purpose. The fleets could act, but only under observation. Their mistakes would be corrected silently, without confrontation, as the ship prepared for the encounter that loomed ever closer. Weeks turned into months. Signals of the approaching ancient force became stronger. Strange anomalies appeared near jump points and unexplored systems. Entire fleets monitored these disruptions, unable to intervene directly. The human ship moved forward with silent authority, guiding allies through dangers that no one fully understood. Every maneuver was calculated, precise, and deliberate. Finally, as the alien fleets watched with awe and growing dependence, the humans sent a simple message to Fleet Command. Prepare your systems. Follow my lead, not my orders. I will guide you through what is coming. The words were calm, but their meaning was profound. For the first time, the galaxy understood that strength without understanding could not save them. Only guidance, precision, and control could. And as the salvage ship moved toward the unknown, the fleets followed at a distance, hearts heavy with both fear and relief. They had begged for help, and it had arrived, not as a weapon, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian. The galaxy waited, tense and silent, for the force that would test them all, knowing that the ship they once laughed at had become their only hope. The warning signals had grown impossible to ignore. Sensors across the galaxy detected strange energy fluctuations, readings beyond known technology, and pulses that seemed alive. No fleet could analyze them completely. Long-range scanners picked up distorted patterns near uncharted systems, where no civilization had thrived for millennia. The signals pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat, yet colder, faster, and heavier than anything the galaxy had ever known. Admirals and commanders gathered in emergency sessions, reviewing data over and over. The readings made no sense. Ships could not survive long enough near the source to confirm the type of threat. Communications from exploration teams arrived broken, scrambled, or not at all. A few brave ships that approached disappeared without a trace. Panic spread silently. Fleet officers who had once doubted the human salvage ship now whispered its name in fear and hope simultaneously. The human pilot had already detected the anomaly long before the fleets noticed. The ship's sensors filtered and amplified the signal, revealing subtle patterns beneath the chaos. The human understood instinctively what the galaxy did not. This was not a fleet, a species, or a natural phenomenon. This was an ancient force, older than most civilizations, intelligent in ways the galaxy could not comprehend, and relentless. It moved with purpose, and Earth, the origin of the salvage ship, was its first target. Inside the salvage ship, the human studied the signals. He traced the path of the force, analyzing the potential impact on nearby systems. He calculated timelines, trajectories, and probabilities with calm precision. The ship's hidden systems hummed, ready to act at a moment's notice. Every energy reserve, every defensive mechanism, every hidden system calibrated automatically. The human did not panic. Panic had never helped. Preparation had. Fleet Command watched the readings from afar. Analysts noted sudden spikes in energy near multiple jump points, accompanied by gravitational anomalies. Entire sectors began to experience unexplainable phenomena. Planets experienced temporary disruptions in weather patterns, and satellites reported interference with long-established communication systems. The fleets scrambled to position themselves defensively, but every move was tentative. They had learned too well that aggression could backfire. The human ship moved quietly, unseen and undisturbed, toward the edge of the threat zone. It passed through derelict star systems, asteroid fields, and forgotten stations without incident. Every step was calculated, measured, and deliberate. The galaxy, reliant on fleet coordination, followed from a distance, trusting the pilot's judgment while keeping every weapon ready, knowing they were helpless without his guidance. As the salvage ship approached the unknown region, the first direct signs of the enemy appeared. Out of the dark, massive shapes emerged, enormous and incomprehensible, larger than moons, yet moving like they had purpose. Energy readings beyond comprehension radiated from them, distorting space itself. Smaller vessels that approached the behemoths were shredded instantly, not by weapons, but by the force itself. No conventional attack could touch them. The fleets stopped at the edge of the danger zone, their ships trembling under the strain of proximity. For the first time, they realized that numbers alone would not save them. Hundreds of ships were powerless against a single entity or swarm. Communication networks overloaded with alerts, warning messages, and failed targeting data. Panic was contained only by the human silent direction, guiding them without speaking. The human pilot activated the ship's advanced systems. Energy channels that had remained dormant now powered to full capacity. Shields, not visible to external sensors, formed layers of complex fields. Subtle distortions bent incoming energy and created areas of space where conventional physics could not reach. The ship's presence alone created a safe corridor, a moving shield through which fleets could navigate. The ancient force noticed the intrusion. Disturbances rippled through space. Massive tendrils of energy pulsed outward, probing, testing. Smaller fleets scattered instinctively. The human ship did not flinch. It moved with quiet authority, calculating every threat, absorbing every anomaly, and neutralizing it before it could reach the fleets. The presence of the human and his ship disrupted the enemy, not with attack, but with control. Fleet commanders watched in awe. The human ship did not fight in a conventional sense. It did not fire, it did not chase, it did not strike. Yet, nothing from the ancient force could penetrate its path. Every anomaly was redirected, absorbed, or dissipated. The alien fleets had never encountered a defense like this, something so absolute, precise, and silent. The human understood the stakes. This was not a battle he could ignore. Every calculation, every maneuver, every measure mattered. The ship moved with the confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds before. The ancient force advanced, but it was slowed, disrupted, and contained by subtle interventions. Every step forward by the enemy was matched by adjustments that left no visible trace of defense. From the edges of the galaxy, fleets observed the scene unfold silently. They realized the truth they had long denied. This was not a simple battle. This was survival against a force older and more intelligent than any civilization could imagine. And the human salvage ship, once laughed at, was the only reason the galaxy still had time to react. As the salvage ship led the fleets through the outer edges of the threat, the first major wave of the ancient force attempted a direct assault. Massive energy beams tore through space, shattering asteroids and disrupting sensors. Fleet ships scrambled, trying to maneuver through the chaos. The human ship activated its systems fully. Energy fields warped space, bending the beams harmlessly around the fleets. The assault failed completely. For the first time, the fleets understood the role of the human ship. It was not just a weapon, not just a guardian, but a guide and a shield. Without it, the ancient force would have reached Earth within days. With it, the galaxy had time, and perhaps hope. And as the salvage ship moved steadily forward, the human pilot realized something crucial. The signal that had been pulsing for weeks had drawn near. This was only the beginning. The enemy had appeared, ancient and unstoppable, and the galaxy would soon see what true power meant. The human ship, weak and mocked yesterday, was the only force standing between survival and annihilation. The salvage ship moved steadily through the edge of the uncharted sector, where signals pulsed erratically and space itself seemed unstable. Stars appeared distorted, gravity shifted unpredictably, and the remnants of ancient civilizations drifted like forgotten memories. The human pilot guided the ship carefully, every movement calculated, every sensor alert considered. He understood the enemy better than anyone else in the galaxy, yet even he could not predict every action. The Galactic Fleet followed at a distance, their ships cautious, but obedient. Commanders watched the salvage ship's movements closely, knowing that any misstep could trigger disaster. Orders were few, guidance was everything. The human ship created a safe corridor through the unstable sector, bending space around them, neutralizing anomalies, and absorbing attacks that had already destroyed smaller vessels. The fleets relied on this silent guardian, but the human did not seek their approval. His focus was singular: protect Earth and buy time for the galaxy. Signals from the ancient force grew stronger. Massive tendrils of energy reached across space, probing, testing, and destroying anything that interfered with its path. Entire fleets that strayed too close vanished, their sensors scrambling before recording even a fraction of what happened. Fear spread quickly. Even the bravest officers whispered warnings and recalculated trajectories, trusting the human salvage ship above all else. Inside the ship, the pilot monitored every reading. His hands moved lightly across controls that were more extensions of his mind than tools. Energy flows that no human had designed or understood shifted seamlessly through hidden channels. The ship reacted to the universe itself, not just to visible threats. The human knew that this was why his vessel had been built, to act as a silent shield against forces beyond comprehension. Every modification, every hidden system, every layer of undetectable power had prepared for this moment. As they moved forward, the ancient force concentrated. Massive structures formed from raw energy, moving like living creatures, shaping space in ways that made even the most advanced fleet sensors fail. Beams of pure distortion cut through sectors, annihilating everything in their path. Planets shuddered under the pressure, moons shifted slightly, and satellites collapsed. Communication networks overloaded, sending scrambled warnings to fleets scattered across systems. The human ship adjusted. Its fields of energy bent space around them, warping gravitational anomalies and dispersing energy attacks harmlessly into empty space. Fleet vessels slipped through the corridors created by the salvage ship, moving as though protected by an invisible hand. The human did not celebrate. There was no time for pride. Every calculation could mean life or death. At one point, a smaller alien fleet attempted to intervene independently. They believed they could assist, but the salvage ship reacted immediately. Subtle shifts in gravity slowed their movement, rerouted engines, and kept them out of danger. No harm came to them, but they understood. Obedience was not demanded. Survival required following the human's lead. Discipline became the only way forward. The ancient force focused its energy on a distant star system, bending matter and distorting space. Entire fleets held position, observing the destruction. The human pilot analyzed the trajectory. If left unchecked, the wave of energy would reach Earth in hours. Without hesitation, he activated deeper systems of the salvage ship. Energy flowed outward like invisible walls, redirecting the destructive wave, bending it away from inhabited planets and dissipating its power harmlessly into the void. The fleet watched in awe and silence. No one had ever witnessed anything like this. The human ship did not attack. It did not annihilate. It shielded. It protected. Every movement was precise, controlled, and deliberate. Fear and hope intertwined in the eyes of commanders who realized the full meaning of the salvage ship. Humanity had built not just a weapon, but a silent guardian capable of saving billions. The human knew that this was only the beginning. The ancient force was intelligent and adaptive. It probed for weaknesses, testing defenses, and scanning for opportunities. The salvage ship responded, not with aggression, but with preemptive adjustments, bending space itself to block intrusion and prevent any force from reaching the fleets. Calculations ran faster than thought, outcomes analyzed instantly, and the universe itself seemed to conform to the ship's will. As hours turned into days, fleets followed cautiously, learning the path of survival. No one spoke unnecessarily. Communications were precise. Messages relayed by long-range sensors were filtered through the salvage ship systems, preventing confusion or misinterpretation. Commanders began to realize that control had never been theirs to claim. It had always belonged to the human ship, and without it, the galaxy would have already been destroyed. In one critical moment, a massive tendril of energy aimed directly at Earth. The fleets panicked. Planet's defenses were useless. The human pilot did not hesitate. He positioned the ship between the threat and the planet, activating all hidden systems. The energy wave bent around the vessel, splitting and dispersing harmlessly into space. A faint hum echoed through the ship. The the sound of systems straining to contain power beyond normal comprehension. The fleets cheered quietly, but the human did not respond. Survival was never a performance. He monitored the aftermath, repaired minor distortions in space, and ensured the path forward remained secure. His ship had become more than a vessel. It was a moving sanctuary, a silent shield for humanity and the galaxy. As the ancient force retreated temporarily, recalculating its approach, the human reflected briefly on the ship's history. Once laughed at, dismissed, and scorned, it had become indispensable. The galaxy had begged, fleets had failed, and now the ship carried the weight of survival on its hull. The human knew the signal was not finished. The enemy was patient, adaptive, and relentless. This was only the first engagement. But for now, Earth and the surrounding systems were safe. The fleets followed, moving with newfound trust and quiet reverence. The human salvage ship had proven its purpose, not to fight for power, not to conquer, but to protect silently, invisibly, and absolutely. And as the stars stretched ahead, unbroken and vast, one truth remained clear. The galaxy had a guardian it could never command, a shield it could only follow, and a human pilot whose quiet resolve would determine the fate of worlds. The salvage ship drifted through deep space, silent and steady, its hull scarred from years of travel, but stronger than anyone imagined. The human pilot remained vigilant, aware that the signal he had sensed weeks ago was nearing full intensity. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed alive, stretching across light years and bending space itself. Every calculation, every maneuver, every observation had been leading to this moment. The galaxy waited, unknowingly reliant on his skill and the ship's hidden power. Fleets followed at a distance, maintaining formation but trusting the ship completely. No one dared approach too closely. The Galactic Fleet had learned humility. They knew that without the salvage ship guiding them, their firepower, numbers, and technology would be useless against what approached. Commands were few, and communication was deliberate. The galaxy watched silently as the human prepared for what could be the ultimate encounter. The signal grew stronger, no longer subtle but undeniable. It pulsed like a heartbeat of the universe, ancient and purposeful. Energy radiated through space, bending light and disrupting sensors. Planets and distant systems experienced sudden fluctuations in gravity, and communication satellites experienced temporary blackouts. The fleets observed in terror as the ancient presence made itself known. The human pilot studied every reading carefully. The ship's hidden systems adapted instantly, creating fields that shifted reality itself around them. Space warped, energy dispersed, and the unknown signal was countered with precise manipulation. The human knew the entity was not malevolent in the conventional sense. It did not attack with malice. It tested, it calculated, it learned. Yet its power was undeniable. If left unchecked, entire systems would be obliterated. The fleets watched as the salvage ship moved forward, leading the way through unstable sectors where anomalies twisted gravity and distorted space. Smaller ships could not survive here, yet they followed, shielded by the human's precise calculations. Energy pulses from the signal struck without warning, but the ship's defenses bent and dispersed them, leaving the fleets untouched. No weapon fired, no strike landed, yet every attack was neutralized. The human pilot considered the nature of the signal. It was intelligent, adaptive, and patient. It seemed to respond to observation, altering its path whenever it detected interference. The ship anticipated these changes, adjusting course and activating hidden systems to create safe corridors. The process was invisible to the fleets, but critical. Without this guidance, every vessel following would be destroyed before reaching the edge of the signal's influence. As they approached the epicenter, the first direct manifestation appeared. Massive constructs of energy formed in space, larger than moons, bending reality around them. Their surfaces shimmered with colors no sensors could fully detect. They moved with purpose, probing the salvage ship's path. The human did not panic. He guided the vessel calmly, calculating precise adjustments to avoid detection while simultaneously countering subtle distortions the constructs created. The fleets watched helplessly as energy waves spread outward. Beams of raw force tore through space, shattering asteroids and scattering remnants of long-dead civilizations. The salvage ship bent these waves harmlessly aside, creating invisible barriers that guided the fleet safely. Commanders realized fully that this was not an ordinary battle. This was survival on a scale they had never imagined, and their reliance on the human vessel was absolute. Inside the ship, the human-activated deeper systems. Energy channels, long dormant, came alive. Space warped, gravitation shifted, and distortions neutralized automatically. The ship's power acted silently, invisibly, ensuring no fleet vessel suffered damage. The humans' calculations accounted for every variable: the strength of the signal, the distance of fleets, the structural integrity of vessels, and the unpredictability of the constructs. Every action was precise, deliberate, and perfect. The signal reacted to the ship. Pulses intensified, probing harder, testing boundaries. Yet each probe failed to breach the defenses. It was a silent dialogue, a battle without sound, fought across dimensions and through layers of energy the fleets could not perceive. Observers on distant ships could only watch in awe as the salvage ship maintained its path, bending reality, protecting fleets, and containing the unknown force. Hours passed. The galaxy waited in tense silence. Every minor adjustment mattered. One wrong move, and entire systems could be destroyed. The human remained focused, aware that the weight of survival rested solely on his shoulders. His hands moved lightly, almost imperceptibly, as the ship responded instantly to the universe's chaos. Every anomaly was absorbed, every destructive wave redirected, and every fleet ship remained safe. Finally, the signal reached a plateau. Its energy stabilized, its pulses became predictable, and the constructs ceased their aggressive probing. The human ship had guided them through the worst of it. The galaxy had survived, not by numbers, not by firepower, but by precision, calculation, and control. Fleets slowly relaxed, realizing that survival had been dictated not by their strength, but by the human pilot and his extraordinary salvage ship. The human spoke once over the communication network. His voice was calm, measured, and absolute. This threat is contained for now. No fleet has been lost. No system has been destroyed. Follow carefully. I will lead, but you must not interfere. Your role is to survive, to observe, and to trust. Silence followed, broken only by the quiet hum of fleet engines. The message was clear. The galaxy's fate rested in his hands. As the salvage ship moved away from the epicenter, the fleets followed, awed and obedient. The unknown signal receded, its presence still palpable, but no longer immediately dangerous. The human monitored every pulse, every anomaly, ensuring no hidden threat remained. His mind remained calm, calculating future possibilities, preparing for the next encounter. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. The ship they once laughed at had become the ultimate guardian, the silent shield, and the protector of humanity and countless civilizations. Fleets realized fully that power alone could not save them. They could only follow the guidance of a mind and vessel prepared for forces beyond comprehension. And as the salvage ship drifted into the darkness of unexplored space, the human pilot understood the truth. The signal was not finished. It would return, stronger, smarter, more relentless. The galaxy would face it again. But for now, survival was guaranteed, and the ship they mocked had proven itself not only indispensable but unmatched. The human and his salvage ship, silent and unassuming, had changed the fate of the galaxy forever. The galaxy had barely begun to recover from the last encounter when subtle disturbances appeared on fleet sensors. At first, they were dismissed as minor anomalies, energy fluctuations, temporary sensor blackouts, or cosmic storms. Yet the human pilot detected them immediately. Hidden beneath the signals was a pattern, faint but deliberate, signaling the awakening of something far older and more dangerous than the previous force. The salvage ship adjusted its path, slipping quietly through uncharted space, while monitoring the subtle pulse that no other fleet could sense. Commanders across multiple systems noticed changes too, though they could not fully explain them. Trade convoys reported strange interference with navigational systems. Remote outposts experienced sudden communications blackouts. Fleets observed gravity distortions, that briefly shifted the orbits of small moons. Panic slowly began to spread again, though it was tempered by the memory of the human salvage ship. Everyone knew that, without it, survival was no longer probable. The human pilot studied the signal carefully. Unlike previous encounters, this one was clever, adaptive, and almost sentient. Its patterns shifted constantly, evading detection while probing every reachable system. He realized that this was no random cosmic phenomenon. It was intelligent, calculating, and patient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The ship's hidden systems thrummed in response, activating deeper defenses designed for threats far beyond conventional understanding. The Galactic Fleet attempted to intervene, sending reconnaissance vessels to scan the affected regions. Each ship disappeared quietly, sometimes leaving behind twisted fragments of sensors or drifting debris. No beams, no missiles, no visible attack. It was as if the threat consumed information itself, erasing proof of its existence. Fleet commanders reported in shock, watching the human salvage ship remain unaffected, passing through the zones with perfect control. The contrast between his vessel and theirs could not have been starker. Inside the ship, the pilot traced the signal to a cluster of dead star systems at the edge of the galaxy. These systems had long been abandoned, stripped of planets and resources by ancient civilizations. Now, subtle distortions twisted the very fabric of space there. He calculated trajectories, potential hazards, and unknown energy levels, creating a safe path for fleets that had no idea how close they were to disaster. The ship's systems responded with precision, warping energy flows and bending space around dangers before anyone else could perceive them. The ancient force revealed itself gradually. Massive structures, barely visible at first, emerged from hidden dimensions. They moved with intent, probing, testing, and seeking weaknesses. The fleets could do nothing. Weapons fired against them evaporated in the energy distortions. Engines failed at random. Sensors overloaded. Panic threatened to break discipline. But the human salvage ship maintained calm and control, creating corridors of safe space for those who dared follow. A council meeting convened in emergency, bringing together representatives from dozens of species. Debates turned heated as leaders argued over what to do. Destroy it? Evacuate? Retreat? None had a viable solution. The human salvage ship alone had prevented catastrophe before, and now all hope rested again in its guidance. Fleet commanders pleaded, offering resources, support, and complete obedience. The galaxy had no choice but to trust the pilot, who remained silent and unyielding in his mission. The threat escalated suddenly. Pulses of raw energy, unlike anything the galaxy had recorded, moved toward inhabited sectors. Communication lines shattered. Several remote colonies reported instantaneous destruction of local satellites and energy grids. The fleets scrambled to respond, but their weapons were useless, their movements sluggish under strange gravitational distortions. Only the salvage ship maintained perfect functionality, guiding every vessel through invisible corridors, neutralizing energy pulses, and bending destructive forces around systems without firing a shot. The human pilot realized that containment alone would not suffice this time. The force was adaptive, learning from the salvage ship's interventions. He activated a deeper layer of the vessel's hidden systems, previously unused in active encounters. Energy flows shifted to the highest thresholds, warping space itself to anticipate and counter the enemy's movements. Distortions, gravitational anomalies, and energy pulses were absorbed, redirected, and neutralized silently. Fleet ships followed obediently, unaware of the invisible forces protecting them. Even as the human managed these immense calculations, the fleets attempted coordination. Admirals issued orders, hoping to assist, to participate, to act. Each attempt was gently corrected by the ship. Engines were subtly rerouted, weapon fire redirected or delayed, and ship positions adjusted to prevent disaster. The fleets realized, with growing humility, that this was not a war to be fought with weapons. It was a survival exercise dictated entirely by the human pilot. Hours stretched into days. The ancient force continued its approach, probing every system, testing every defensive corridor created by the salvage ship. Fleets held formation, hearts pounding, witnessing impossible phenomena unfold. Beams of raw energy tore through empty space, yet the ship bent reality to neutralize them. Massive anomalies attempted to collapse sectors of the galaxy, yet the vessel prevented all casualties and structural collapse. The human worked quietly, efficiently, and tirelessly, aware that even the smallest miscalculation could result in unimaginable destruction. Finally, the salvage ship reached the epicenter of the disturbances. The force reacted, massive energy structures, focusing on the human vessel directly. It tested, prodded, and probed, yet found nothing vulnerable. The human observed, calculated, and adjusted. Energy pulses collapsed harmlessly. Space bent in exact compensation. Systems strained but held. The galaxy watched, unable to comprehend the invisible battle occurring at the heart of the threat. And as the fleets followed carefully, they understood fully, finally, the truth that had been evident for years. The human salvage ship was not merely a vessel. It was a guardian, a silent shield, and a guide. Every fleet, every civilization, and every individual who survived did so because of its presence. The ancient threat had awakened, yet it had no power against what it could not understand, could not reach, and could not anticipate. The human pilot transmitted a single message to the fleets. Stay close. Observe. Do not act without my guidance. The threat is intelligent and patient. Survival depends on trust, precision, and restraint. Follow carefully. It was calm, concise, and absolute. The fleets obeyed without hesitation, understanding that their fate depended on following, not leading. The galaxy waited, tense and silent, as the salvage ship prepared to face a force older than civilizations themselves. The human pilot knew that the battle ahead would test every system, every calculation, and every limit of the ship's hidden power. Yet he did not hesitate. The galaxy depended on him, and the ship, once laughed at and dismissed, was ready to stand between the universe and annihilation once more. The galaxy held its breath. For weeks, the human salvage ship had guided fleets through distortions, energy pulses, and ancient anomalies, each more dangerous than the last. Now, at the edge of uncharted space, the source of the signal fully revealed itself. Massive structures of energy and matter, moving with intelligence and intent, formed a colossal formation that dwarfed entire star systems. Space itself twisted around them, bending light, warping gravity, and disrupting sensors. Every fleet vessel froze at the edge of the threat, powerless to act, their technology failing under the presence of a force beyond comprehension. The human pilot remained calm. Inside the ship, every system hummed in harmony, channels of hidden energy flowing to precise points across the hull. Calculations ran faster than thought, algorithms predicting outcomes across multiple dimensions. The ship's field of influence warped reality itself, creating invisible corridors through which fleet vessels could safely move. The fleets followed silently, trusting the human's judgment completely, knowing that any independent action could lead to total annihilation. The ancient force tested the ship immediately. Pulses of energy, immense and incomprehensible, surged outward, distorting entire sectors of space. Fleets scrambled to respond, their weapons useless, engines failing under gravitational anomalies. The human salvage ship, however, bent reality around them. Energy waves were redirected, gravitational distortions corrected, and fleet ships passed through the chaos unscathed. The human did not fire, did not attack, yet the threat's power was neutralized as if it had never existed. The alien structures probed further. Massive tendrils of pure energy extended toward the salvage ship, testing boundaries, seeking weaknesses. The human anticipated each movement, adjusting the ship's systems preemptively. Space folded subtly, fields of energy formed unseen barriers, and the tendrils failed to find purchase. Every attempt by the ancient force was countered before it could manifest fully. Fleet commanders watched in awe, realizing that survival depended entirely on this single human and his extraordinary ship. Inside the ship, the human focused, his mind synchronized with the vessel, each thought controlling energy flows, shields, and spatial distortions. The ship reacted instantly, bending physics to shield allies and disrupt the enemy's approach. He analyzed patterns in the force's intelligence, predicting its moves with near-perfect accuracy. The galaxy could not comprehend what was happening, but it trusted him implicitly. Every fleet ship followed, alive but powerless, witnessing the display of calculated precision. The ancient force escalated its assault. Beams of energy tore across space, shattering asteroids, scattering debris, and warping gravity fields. Entire sectors experienced temporary collapse, yet the salvage ship neutralized each wave silently. Energy was absorbed, redirected, or dissipated harmlessly into voids, leaving fleets untouched. It was a display of absolute control. No weapon fired, no attack landed, yet the enemy's power was contained. As the battle continued, the human noticed subtle patterns in the enemy's movement. This force was not mindless destruction, it was learning. Every maneuver, every counter, every adjustment was observed and incorporated into its calculations. The human adjusted as well, activating deeper, hidden systems of the ship. Energy flows intensified, fields warped reality more profoundly, and subtle distortions corrected weaknesses before they could be exploited. The silent battle unfolded across layers of space the galaxy could not see. The fleets watched helplessly, observing the battle through sensor data, unable to interact directly. The human ship became a moving sanctuary, a guardian that allowed them to survive where they would otherwise have been destroyed. Panic turned into reverence. Fleet officers who had once doubted, dismissed, or mocked humans now understood fully that survival depended on following a single vessel through the heart of unimaginable danger. The ancient force attempted a direct assault on Earth, sending a massive energy wave across light years. Planets trembled under the pulse, satellites failed, and orbital stations shook. The salvage ship moved into position instantly. Energy channels surged, forming invisible shields, bending the destructive wave around inhabited worlds. The assault collapsed harmlessly, leaving no casualties, no destruction, and no damage to the fleets following behind. The human's calculations had saved billions, yet he remained calm, silent, and deliberate. The enemy reacted again, this time focusing all its energy on the ship itself. Pulses of unimaginable force collided with hidden systems, testing limits, seeking vulnerabilities. The human activated every dormant protocol, every hidden defense, every system ever built into the ship. Space warped, gravity shifted, and energy flowed in impossible patterns to absorb, redirect, and nullify attacks. The vessel shone with power that was invisible to the naked eye, a guardian operating at the edge of comprehension. Fleets observed in awe as the ancient force slowed, recalculating its approach. It realized, perhaps for the first time, that the ship could not be destroyed by conventional means. Its intelligence pulsed, probing, but finding no vulnerability. The human anticipated its moves, preempting attacks and guiding allies safely through the chaos. Every pulse, every probe, every assault was absorbed or redirected, leaving the fleets intact. Finally, the human sent a single broadcast to all following fleets. The threat is contained. Do not act independently. Survival depends on trust, patience, and restraint. Follow carefully. The words were calm, absolute, and unyielding. The message echoed through every system, through every fleet, leaving no doubt that their safety depended entirely on the human salvage ship. As the ancient force retreated temporarily, reassessing its approach, the human guided fleets back toward safer sectors. Damage was non-existent, but the psychological impact was profound. The galaxy had witnessed power unlike anything before. Absolute control, silent protection, and calculated survival. The human and his salvage ship had proven that strength was not measured by destruction, but by precision, restraint, and guardianship. The fleets followed silently, understanding fully that the ship they once laughed at had become their savior. Planets, colonies, and civilizations all depended on it. The human pilot remained vigilant, aware that the signal could return stronger, smarter, and more relentless. Yet he moved forward with quiet confidence. The ship had one purpose: to protect, guide, and survive against forces the galaxy could not oppose. And as the salvage ship drifted into the darkness of unexplored space, the galaxy knew one immutable truth. Their guardian was unmatched, unstoppable, and beyond comprehension. The human pilot, once dismissed, now held the fate of billions in his hands. Survival, hope, and the future of the galaxy rested entirely on him and the silent, invincible vessel he commanded. The stars stretched ahead, dangerous and infinite, yet they were no longer a threat. The human had become the shield of the universe, the guardian it never asked for, and the force that could not be opposed.